so for Friday's workout, the first exercise we're going to be doing is a tempo squat. We've got 3 variations of this tempo squat. From our squat position, which is our feet roughly shoulder width apart, whatever feels comfortable to you, turning your feet out, straight, narrow stance, as long as you're hitting that depth of your femur bone or your thigh being parallel to the ground. So in our tempo squat, we want to go down in a 3-second movement. So miss, you go down 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, and then we're popping straight back up. So we're going nice and slow and controlled for that first variation. Our second variation is the 3-second eccentric or downwards movement, as well as a 3-second pause down the bottom. So moving 3 seconds down, bending at the knees, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and explosive back up. For our third variation, this one is quite technical, and we'll make sure we do this too for you. So we're going to do 4 seconds down, we're going to pause at the bottom for 1 second, come up a quarter of the way, and then bop back down full depth to explode back up. So what that's going to look like in slow time is 4 seconds down, so 1, 2, 3, 4, pause down the bottom, up a quarter of the movement, and explode back down and up as fast as you can. We'll do that one more time. So it's 4 seconds down, 2, 3, 4, pause for a second, quarter up, and then down and up. Make sure you're pausing when you do that quarter rep from the bottom of the movement, pause at that quarter rep, and then do your explosion. The next exercise we're doing is a push-up variation. For this one, we're going to start as variation 1 as a standard push-up. So we want to go into a push-up ready position, ideally on our feet, so hands directly under shoulders, hips in line with shoulders and ankles, and our feet hip width apart. Now if you find this too difficult, go onto your knees or onto an inclined surface to make this easier. So variation 1 is a standard push-up, coming all the way down, bending at the elbows so that our elbows are by our ribs, and then pushing until our elbows are fully extended. Variation 2 is a hand release push-up. For here, we want to go down just like we were in our standard push-up position, but let our chest touch the ground, release our hands, and then push up again. So in real time, releasing the hands and pushing up. Always looking for full extension at the top of the movement. The third variation that we're doing is a tempo pause push-up. This is where we go down and then hold our body just off the ground, about a fixed depth between the ground and the chest, for 5 seconds. So, Mr. English will go down, hold for 5 seconds, about 4, and up, and that is 1 rep. Remember, fully extend those elbows and keep the hips in line to ensure your back is safe.
So what we need you to do, there's a couple of safety things that you really need to be sure of. That you're keeping your back and backside close to the surface that you're dipping from. That your hands are nice and flat on the surface, and that you're not stretching those shoulders back. Level 1 variation is feet nice and close to the bench. Okay. Level 2 variation is you can straighten those legs out a little bit more, which makes it harder. And our third variation is with our feet elevated on a stable surface, and again keeping that back nice and close to the bench.
The fourth exercise we're doing is the TYW raise. For the first variation, it's just lying on the ground, arms spread out in your T formation, and then all we're going to do for each of these is 3 consecutive movements. The first one being up, bring your hands back down and sliding out to a 45-degree angle, again raising the hands, coming down, and then tucking our elbows by our side to then raise again, forming the W. So we show that motion of T coming up, throughout then to the Y formation, and then the W formation. Completing all 3 in line is 1 rep. Our second variation is just in a bent over position, making sure we have a nice straight spine when doing this, and then from a dead hang straight arms, coming out in that T, and then repeating the Y formation, and then moving again into the W formation. At each time we want to bring our hands down and centered and focus on a nice slow controlled movement, as this is great for posture and shoulder health. The third variation for the TYW raise is just adding weight. Again, you can do this with milk bottles, oil bottles, anything you have to hand really, water bottles, or if you want to go crazy and have a bag in each hand. But we are only going through each motion exactly the same and nice and controlled throughout. Again, remembering that shoulder health. Be mindful they are small muscles, so using small weights is recommended. The last exercise for today is the side plank. This is our core stability exercise. Here you want to make sure you have both feet and ankles stacked, your hips in line with your shoulders and ankles, and your elbow underneath your supporting shoulder. From this position, you raise up so your hips are now directly in line with your shoulders and ankles, and you hold this for, first variation is 30 seconds, second variation is 60 seconds, and the third variation is 90 seconds. Do this for both sides.